Hey, this is Tim, and along here in the studio with my wife Sandy at Crazy Jugs Pottery, and we've got some exciting news. We've decided to finally get our website going, and along with Jen Sargent at Digital Sargent in Orlando, we've got a website up and ready to show everyone and be able to buy pottery off of it. And something really cool happened tonight is as soon as we launched it, some friends of ours, Dave and Jerry, who are up in the mountains of North Carolina, saw what we were doing and immediately placed an order. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool to, on the first night that we've launched our website, just to put a little bit of video content together and show our first order being made and follow it through the process. So tonight I'm going to show you, she wanted a large serving bowl. I'm just going to show you how we make a large serving bowl and follow it through the process as it dries and is glazed all the way until we ship it. So for Dave and Jerry, and just in celebrating the launch of Crazy Jugs as a website, here we go. So I've got 3 pounds of clay that I've just cut off. We buy our clay in big bricks of 50 pounds, so I cut off 3 pounds. It's really important that we keep things consistent. I know that a large serving bowl takes 3 pounds of clay. Small serving bowl takes 2. We work all our poundages out so we can go consistently as we throw our pottery. So this is the wheel head of the potter's wheel, and you've always heard about throwing pottery. This is throwing pottery. We throw it right down on the wheel head. I'm controlling the wheel is just with an accelerator with my right foot, just like in a car. Our next move is, you can see this is completely just wobbly here. We're going to do a move called centering. We're going to center the clay on the wheel. That's very important that we get this clay centered to where we can work and it can be very even all the way around. Takes a little bit of muscle, a little bit of time, and you're going to watch me put my elbow into my thigh here. As at some point while I do this, we're going to bring it up, bring it back down, bring it up, bring it back down. Every time we do that, it aligns the molecules of the clay and it centers. So watch as I center this piece of clay. A lot of movement in my hand now, see? We got to tell the clay what to do. Sometimes the clay likes to tell the potter what to do, but most of the time the potter gets to tell the clay what to do. So we're beginning to get it centered. Moving my hands down. See, remember where a minute ago where this hand right here was moving all over the place? Now there's hardly any movement. This is going to be the start of a good pot when you can get this clay centered like this. We've got the clay centered. My next move is I'm going to set the diameter at the bottom of the serving bowl here. Whatever you're doing at the bottom, you usually set your diameter first. So I'm just basically keeping it centered and pushing it out. See, right now I've got a pretty well centered piece of clay that's a lot wider. A little bit wider for the bottom of this serving bowl. Alright. About got the width set. Still pretty centered. My next move is to take both of my thumbs as I'm holding them against the centered piece of clay and drive them down through the center of the clay to within a ½ inch of the bottom. Just experience tells you how far to do this. You don't want it too close because your pot will crack, it'll break real easy. Too far up, you get a real heavy bowl. So just a little bit of experience can tell you this. There's other ways you can gauge the bottom, but I just use going down to a certain level. It's like, there about it is. So now we've got a centered piece of clay with a hole in it. We're going to do something called opening it up now. I got my fingers down in, supporting it on the outside, and I'm pushing in both directions. I'm squeezing that clay in between my fingers. Next move is something we do all the time. We pinch it, put our finger against the top. We want to keep this top compressed down, keep those clay molecules compressed, and if you're not careful, they'll get very wavy. So every time we do this, we compress the top of the edge. So now on the inside, it's really narrow at the top, really wide at the bottom. So our next move is to go in and start pulling the clay up, start looking for a consistency in the width of the clay all the way through the piece. We're going to make this into a cylinder now. Most of the things we do in pottery throwing start out as a cylinder. Once you get that cylinder made, you can do anything with it. You can make it a wine bottle holder, you can make it a bowl, you can make it a canister. You can just about do anything with it. There again, compressing the rim. I'm watching the width. Right now, I'm about this thick at the top, but I'm about this thick at the bottom. So I'm taking that bottom clay, grabbing it and bringing it up. You'll see a little bit of a knot of clay come up as I bring it up. we go. Here's that knot of clay. See it coming up? See it? Every time it gets taller. Every time we do this, it gets a little bit taller. Press the rim. Take a look at it. Still pretty thick in the bottom. I'm going to come one more time up. I'm going to pull up one more time, and we're going to start making the bowl. Okay? Here we go. Pushing in from the side outside and pushing against my fingers from the inside. Most of the time, you watch, I keep my hands locked together. That helps make a more consistent. Tell what you're doing. Makes a consistent bowl there. All right. I think we're about there. So we're going to press this rim again. Get ready to bowl. If you're making a wine cooler, you could leave it right like this, bring it out a little bit. If we're making a canister, we'd make a lip where a top goes on. There's anything you can do right now, but this one's going to be a bowl. Here we go. This is where the magic starts to happen. It's all a matter of how you push your hands against the clay. See right there, we can stop and we have a vase. Let's it up a little bit. Let's clean that up. A lot of water it takes to do this. If you feel the clay kind of not slipping in your hands good, that means you haven't got enough water. You need to add a little bit more water. Okay. Still looking like a vase. We're heading for bowl. Here comes bowl. A couple more times. So bring it out. Gets it closer and closer to serving bowl. Notice as I bring it out, it gets shorter. We're still dealing with the same amount of clay that we've been dealing with the whole time. And I think this was probably going to get close to being large serving bowl size. Yeah, it may be a little bit too deep for me still, so I'm going to bring it out just a little bit more. Slow process we do here. That's a large serving bowl. What do you think? Maybe a little bit more at the bottom here. Sometimes you do so much you mess them up. You mess up a whole lot of bowls. That's how you learn to keep right on going. Okay. A little bit of compressing action on that rim. So now we've got the bowl made. We've got some of the decoration. It's a little bit jagged along the edge here where I made the decoration. Also, the top's not as good as I would want it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sponge. Still lots of water pushing in, just gently pushing here. Sponges have an amazing ability to smooth out clay and imperfections. I'm just watching it go around and check this rim again. All right, got the top done of the bowl. Now we're going to do a little trick I learned. Something I just discovered one night while I was playing around, and I don't see many potters doing anything like this. We're going to make a foot on the bottom of the bowl. So you can see where I'm doing from my side. I'm going to show you now. It's going to be going around very slowly. I'm going to be pushing my finger right into that groove. I'm going to make a little groove in there with my finger. This is how that looks. Hopefully you can see that groove coming in there. Just like plowing a groove in a field if you're on an old tractor. Get some of that water out of the center there, that bothers me. All right, so we got a groove in, and this is the beginning of a foot. This is just a teak wood knife, they call it at the pottery store. So I'm going to cut now. I'm going to cut at a 45-degree angle into that foot and remove the excess clay. I'll tell you about this 45 as I do it. Well, in cutting that, you can see it's coming out there. Anytime we can get this angle cut, it makes it so much easier as we're cleaning up the pot before we fire it to get any clay off the bottom. So I'm going to just do it just like that. Just a little bit of cleanup. Now, take a sponge, wet it. Lots of water. Lots of water. Sponge does amazing things. We'll put it right in here, and we're kind of pushing in, and you'll watch. It makes that foot nice and even, rounds it out, makes the clay just really smooth and nice. So you get what we call a foot on here, nice foot. Last thing I do is, because when I go to finish it before I fire it, sometimes we have imperfections on the bottom. I find if I go right back in there at that 45-degree angle, clean that up underneath there, Makes it a lot easier as I'm getting ready to fire. So, hey, just a little bit more out there. As it comes out, just pop it off. All right, final sponge action here. And then we're going to get this off this wheel and get it to dry. We'll take a cutting wire, and this is called wiring off. We're going to wire this off with the wheel. So what we do is we actually flood the bottom of the wheel with water. It's nice there. Take this wire, hold it extremely taut and against the bottom of the wheel, and just run it right through there. Sometimes the second time I do that and we carry water, we're putting water between the clay and the wheel head here. Put it through. Sometimes it'll even move. Yeah, it moved a little bit. You see it jump up and down. Last step on this pot is take these pot lifters, which I really like. Some people don't like using them, but I really do. Slide them underneath the bottom here. Slide them underneath the bottom. You lift the whole thing up off the wheel, just like this. Reach over. And we put it on a wooden bat. It's just a piece of plywood we have here. And there we have it. That's a large serving bowl for my friends Dave and Jerry in the mountains. So we're going to follow this as it goes through the drying process. It's going to take about a week. Things have to be very dry. Most people don't know, but water expands 1,700 times when it turns to steam. So if we put this in the kiln and fire it while there's still water in it, it turns to steam. It'll blow this pot into a million pieces. Been there, done that quite a little bit lately. So we're going to let this dry a long time, but follow this as it goes through the process. We get it ready to take it up in July as we visit our friends Dave and Jerry in the mountains. So, hey, crazyjugs.com, Instagram, crazy_jugs. Follow us, like us, look at us on Facebook. Like to see how a lot of these things are made. I'll be happy to show you here as the months go on. Hey, God bless, have a good evening, and thanks for your support.